Okay, so let's proceed and then let's ask about what are the hallmarks of depression. I think this is very, very important, especially for the caregivers, because many times we do not quite realize what we are facing, and seemingly we end up reacting to the situation and thinking that this is just part and parcel of the disease condition and not really recognize that it is probably a depression because a depression per se is treatable. So what are the hallmarks? What are the how do we know that this is depression that we are dealing with?
Before I go into the hallmarks, I want to qualify what is, the usual depression that we have. For example, if we have a low mood or we're upset or something like that, as vis-a-vis what I call as clinical depression. Clinical depression, um, okay, depression when it gets clinical would have disruption in our usual activities. And there is also your functionality will be affected, and your mood also changes. So what 3Ds, disturbance in your vegetative, the usual things that you're familiar with, that you enjoy. Then
Would
you
that mean, for example, vegetative, the eating, the sleeping? So you would have what less?
for some people, there is disturbance. For some people, they have either lack of sleep or oversleeping,
So you would have insomnia
or
or
hypersomnia.
those are technical terms. So in other words, you either sleep too much or you sleep too little. How about the effect on appetite?
The appetite, it could also be either overeating or undereating. Now, for people who find food as their comfort food, they're upset, they don't feel well, so they tend to look for food. So, in a sense, it's like a coping for feeling bad experience inside.
Okay, so that's the first D. What is the second D we're talking about?
We talk also of dysfunction in our occupation, in even in our feelings. I mean, in the sense that we have a low mood, low energy. We don't like to go to the office, for example, or we have lost interest in some of our hobbies, and we cannot carry it out because we feel fatigue for some unexplainable reason. We're not overworked physically, and yet we just don't like to do those things. We have a vernacular term for this, gilaayan ko.
Okay. So in other words, you have these usual interests and then you lose your interest in doing this. So you have a hobby, gardening, and then you lose the joy in it. Reading, you lose the joy in it. So this is another hallmark.
And then also, it ties up to you having poor concentration. You cannot carry the usual conversation because somehow you just are not interested. And then also, even your social relationships are affected. You don't like to entertain people. You get choppy, irritable, or upset easily because of the social demands that you used to enjoy before. So, for example, you're an officer of a club, or an NGO. Then you don't like to meet people who are interested in your program. You want to cut down on social activities, even if those social activities may be part of your work. For example, you're a salesman. It's such a burden to go out and meet people to promote your product because of this depression that you are carrying.
So what you're saying is that people tend to withdraw from other people and try to avoid as much as possible, maybe stay in the room, uh, not go out as much as they used to. And so this would be the second D. So the third D, you were saying?
You It's about a disturbance in your own self-concept, no? Your own, ang imong pagkatao, because of the loss of productivity and the disconnection that you have in socially. You start to think of, unsa naman ni akong kinabuhi, no? um, I'm not worth as I used to be. So you have low self-esteem. You have no more purpose in living. It's now more on your own on your own self, no? Sometimes you feel guilty. Uh, all the negative thoughts about yourself, about people, about your worldview will be affected. Even your own spirituality. People who used to believe in God will start questioning, naa pa ba'y Diyos? Siguro kung nabiyaan ako niya, nalimtan ako niya, and things like that. So, bati kaayo ang reaction to within yourself, about yourself, and also on your whole environment.